All right, let's draw the cutest thing ever. This tiny little squirrel. It's just a little brown squirrel that you see in the state of Tennessee because that's where I live in. So I like to draw a lot of local wildlife. And this little eye is almond shaped. It's not really round, but it is pretty big. So the bigger, the cuter, usually. I do like to use a lighter colored pencil to help with that little highlighted feature. And try to make your colored pencils sharp as much as possible when you're drawing small. You can use light ivory or raw umber colors around the eye. What that is it's pretty much just a lighter yellow tint to it. That way it's not just a straight white color or something that has color to it. So you want to think about the base colors first and then start to build up layers using a variety of different mid-tone colors. So my favorite color pencil ever is this dark sepia from Faber-Castell. And it's a dark brown and has a little bit of a gray tint to it as well. So it's not just straight brown. I really like using it almost as a replacement for black too, because you can really create some really heavy, dense colors with this one, as well as especially like if you add black to it, then it adds a nice sense of like colored black, because black does come off as very flat looking. If you can tell in the eye, that's just very straight black, and then the ears, it's got this very dark charcoal color to it, but not just straight black. So since this is such a small little portrait, I definitely want to keep your pencil sharp as often as possible. And then I'm just kind of drawing the little bits of texture around the face. Pay attention to the direction of the fur and just kind of go along with this color here. Yes, we'll be using different colors, so make sure that you're drawing light and working around the highlights as well. So you can see the ears. I drew that really quickly, but you can see that I did leave room for the whiteness on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. And then the mouth, there's not much to it. It's just a little triangle, as well as the nose too. So they're two different triangle shapes. There's not a whole lot to it. Definitely don't overthink it because you'll end up drawing a little bit too much of a feature. So this like green tone, I think is going to really help bring out some of those more vibrant features in this squirrel, because the squirrel is more than likely on the ground, so there's a lot of reflection from the grass itself and the natural environment around it. And I like to use a lot of green tones to be able to replicate that and make it look more realistic. You can also use lighter gray browns and then start to use a little bit more warm browns to mix in. But at this point, you can see that I'm not drawing too much detail just yet. The details will come in closer towards the end. So focus on just getting the base layers down, and then you can start to add the details afterwards. I also like to use mineral spirit oil, which you'll probably see here in just a few minutes. I use it with a paintbrush, and what it does is it blends everything really smooth together. So the trick is, when you use it, it does darken it up a little bit. So if you want that space to be lighter, use a white color pencil first and burnish over the top of all those layers, and then go over with the mineral spirit oil. And if you're wondering what burnish is, it is a method of applying a waxy coating over the top of several layers using the same color pencil, but a lighter color. So it could be really pale blue, pale pink, or white color pencil. And it is another helpful way to blend everything together, but it is not the most effective in terms of trying to blend everything in a more timely manner that's not going to hurt your hands over time. Going on to the hand, the little arm, and then the neck area, there's a lot of lighter colors happening, and I'm using a light blue. This is a very, very pale blue that's in the Caran Dash Luminance series. And I really like to use a contrast of cool tones and warm tones. That way I can actually create a better sense of depth. So I'm not really perfect. I don't really know color theory that well. I just know it by experience. So cool tones are purples, greens, and blues, and warm tones are things like orange, red, and I'm always forgetting the other color, but those are the cool tones and the warm tones. And when you blend those two together, specifically working on the highlighted features having cool tones, then you'll end up with a little bit more of a vibrant and also realistic looking portrait, while also still keeping your unique style with it. So I like to say all the time that I'm not a photorealistic artist, but I am a realistic artist. I have my own touch to it, but I do like to draw realistically. So keep that in mind if you're drawing as well. Don't take yourself so seriously. Just start practicing and playing around with different colors and different techniques and see what works best for you. I know that there's a lot of other color pencil artists out there that don't use the same materials as me, that don't use the same techniques as me, and they also don't have the same look. So it's really not something that you should be comparing yourself to. Don't compare your experience and your level with mine. I mean, I've been doing this for years, almost every single day. So definitely don't be comparing yourself to somebody like me or somebody that's, been doing it for such a long time. And even if they haven't been doing it for a long time and you think that they're better at it than you are, that doesn't mean that you should just quit. That just means that your style is going to be different and you should just continue enjoying the process itself. And maybe you'll get better and maybe you'll just find better techniques that'll make it more enjoyable for you. I know that for years, I really strived on trying to improve the quality of my drawings. And I think that I have over time, but right now I'm kind of at this stagnant point that I haven't necessarily improved as much as I thought I had. And it's really because I just haven't been able to put the time and effort into it as I would like, because now I have another job and I have 2 little kids too. So there's very little time for me to be able to do any of this. But I think that the more time and effort that you put into something like this, the more quality and better, more realistic look you'll get out of it, and it'll probably end up being more the way that you want it to be, not necessarily it looking hyper realistic overall. So there's a little nut that the squirrel is carrying, so I just kind of drew a little feature right there, and then I'll add some more details to it. But it's just super cute. I really like this one a lot. But, a lot of my customers they'll look at it, but they don't really buy the squirrel nearly as much as the raccoon that I have. So it's really interesting to see what people like and don't like. Okay, so now I'm adding that rich brown color to the face, and I think that really starts to add more richness, like more aliveness to the face, because you don't want it to look too cool. You don't want it to look like it's a dead squirrel. Essentially, when it has too many cool tones, that's what ends up happening, is it looks like it's not alive. So we don't want to be drawing a dead squirrel. We want to be drawing an alive squirrel. So definitely work on incorporating rich colors into it. And I always like to say, pick more than 5 color pencils per portrait. The more variety of colors that you have, even if they're very similar colors, the more realistic your portrait's going to look and the more fun that you're going to have overall by creating a variety of highlights, lowlights, and the midtones using all those different colors. See, I'm really drawing a lot of detail, especially in the head area, but as I keep going throughout the rest of it, it does go a lot faster. You'll notice the head tends to take a little bit longer because you're applying a lot more detail to it. And then the body is just more about drawing the direction of the fur and then also just kind of incorporating, okay, so here's the where the leg is, so you do want to incorporate some shading in there, blah blah blah, but the face has a lot more detail in there. And because the fur has a lot of a lighter texture to it on the backside, there really isn't a whole lot to it other than just kind of blending all those different colors together. So you'll see what I mean as we continue going along here. But if you're interested in learning to draw and you want to understand more tips and tricks, definitely go down in the description and click on the subscribe option. And I send out weekly emails of just helpful tips and tricks and other things as well. But if you do want to actually learn to really draw and just have more fun with different animals, I have all sorts of different classes of different animals that you can play or pause at your leisure. So if you go down in the description, I have a link for that. But then if you want to get even more involved and really want to get more serious with this, I have an 8-week program where you can learn to draw your own pet portraits. It's also helpful for if you're wanting to learn to draw wildlife as well. But it's at your own pace as well, so you don't necessarily have to make it a full 8 weeks. But the first few weeks are showing you specific types of fur and how to draw them. And that means like different colored fur or different textured fur. And then I also show you how to draw specific features like eyes, ears, nose, mouth. And then by the end, there will be a full-length pet portrait class that you can follow along. And if you have questions, you can email me or message me along the way, and I am more than happy to help you. But that's all linked down in the description below. So continuing with the rest of this body, you can see I didn't add too much detail for the backside because there is a lot of highlighted features. This squirrel is a little bit more gray in the backside than the face. So I added a lot of a light gray blue color to burnish the top of that area. And you can also see that I didn't apply too much. I didn't want it to be too smooth all too much because squirrels have a very rough textured body. So letting some of the tooth of the paper show through is totally fine. And now working on the foot, just focus on like the dark sections first. I know it's a lot of triangles. If you think about the shape of it, it really helps a lot better proportionally to understand like how to actually draw it. So just work on looking at the shape of it and working on where's my shading happening and just kind of focusing on that a little bit more and then blending outwards in some of those areas. But really the techniques are just, you'll learn as you go. You'll learn what really works well for you and what doesn't. But that's something that really does help me, is to just kind of leave room for the highlights first, focus on some of the shading, And then also think about the shape of everything as you're drawing it. I do like to work section by section because it does make me feel more accomplished, for one. And for two, I think it does help it helps me focus more on the details of each section instead of being scatterbrained, working all over the place. All right, so here's the tail, and it's big and fluffy, and there's not a whole lot of work to it. So you'll see I'm using a nice warm brown color pencil, and then using a darker sepia color, which is just like a gray. It's a grayish brown color, and getting that nice spiky look. So I'm using long strokes for this, and then leaving room for some of those highlighted features in it. You can see that there's a gap between the back and the tail itself just for a little bit, and then it touches it. I think that's a really nice feature because it does show you that that's what squirrels do when you see them sitting there. There's that little bit of a gap, and then it kind of comes into the body a little bit. So I think it adds a nice little touch to it. And then adding a lot of those raw umber colors, whether it be the lighter versions or the darker versions, I think that really helps tie in everything else, because you could see that I tied that in on the back side as well as in the head. Now working with the dark sepia before I use the black color pencil, you can start to disperse that darkness throughout the rest of the tail here. And then I really want to get it blended. So I use the mineral spirit oil, which you can get on Amazon if you're interested in using that. But if you do want to know what materials I use, I have an ebook that is on my website, but I'll also link that below. So now you can use that nice contrast of the warm tones and the cool tones by using that light blue color. And then let's use that black. Let's get in some of those darker tones. We really want it to look like it's popping out and not just being so flat. So that is a really nice touch to it. I really hope that you liked this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also go and subscribe to my email list if you want to learn more helpful tips and tricks overall. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.